today's episode of Money Mountaineering with Actuary Peter Neuwirth. This is a new show on the Incandescent Radio Network, and I am so thrilled to have him be part of our Incandescent family. I'm Hope Katz-Gibbs, founder of the network, and today Pete will be interviewing Barry H. Sachs, Ph.D., J.D., reverse mortgage portfolio and longevity expert, and just a man who has done a remarkable amount of research and done fantastic things in his career. He's also a very long-time friend of Pete's. So take it away, Pete. This is episode 1 of your new show.
Well, thanks very much, Hope. And I'm really thrilled to do this. And I never thought I'd be hosting a radio show, but it's going to be easy because I've got, as my first guest, a guy I've known for 20 years. And thank you, Barry, for being here.
My pleasure.
You know, I met Barry, like I said, about 20 years ago when I was an actuary and working for Watson Wyatt, and was the actuary for the San Francisco Symphony, and walked in, and there to attend the meeting was the ERISA counsel for the symphony, who was Barry Sachs. And since then, I've learned a whole lot more about Barry, and we've worked together and collaborated on a number of research projects. And the first thing I want to start out with is something I learned very early on was that Barry was not always a tax lawyer or an ERISA attorney, that in fact, he started out as a physicist. So Barry, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, there I was actually as teaching physics to the engineers at UC Berkeley and enjoying it quite a bit. But I had a whole bunch of friends that went back to grade school and junior high and high school, all of whom became lawyers. And they seemed to be having more fun than I was having, even though I was having a good time. And at the same time, I had a few other events in my life. I got dumped by my then fiance and thought, I just turned 30. That was the other thing that happened. And that perfect storm of events led me to think, at 30, if I don't try to be a lawyer like my buddies, Dickie and Phil and Larry, then I might hate myself when I was 40. So I took a chance. I applied to law school. And as it happened, I got in. And then I thought, well, why not? And sure enough, by the time I was 40, I was a partner in a law firm.
And did you find that tax law was in any way similar or related to physics?
Very similar. That is to say, I was dealing with quantitative analysis as a physicist. I was a theoretician, and I made mathematical models of things and determined actually as it happened, something about electron flow in semiconductors. And it had a curious similarity to cash flow. And it was quantitative, it was analytic. Physics had certain fundamental equations. And from the fundamental equations, there were variations called perturbations. And perturbations were the variations. As it turned out, in tax law, there's the tax code, and then there's regulations, which are perturbations on the fundamental rules. So there was very much a similarity in concept and in thought process.
Well, in any event, I guess we worked together for quite some time we had
more than one client in common.
That's right. And that was great. But long about 2012, you started to veer off the tax lawyer track a little bit, didn't you? When you did your first research?
Well, actually, it started quite a bit earlier than that.
Okay.
It started while I was still practicing law in a law firm, that is in the early 2000s, well before 2012. And as I was getting closer to my own retirement, I got interested in the sort of flip side of what I had been doing a lot of during law practice. That is, during law practice, I had helped clients, along with my very own law firm, put away as much money as possible into the various kind of qualified retirement plans and thereby get as much deduction as possible. And of course, as time went on and I reached the magic age of 65, which was just around 2005, I began to think very seriously about the opposite direction, money outflow, or as they call it in the business, decumulation. And I got very interested in decumulation. I read an article by some economists, one of whom Pete knows, in fact, and I wrote what I called a dumbed down version of their article. And their article essentially took a portfolio of securities in something like a 401k plan or a rollover IRA and said, wait, there's so much volatility. It's going up and down. And it was obvious to them, and it became obvious to me, that if you draw on it when it's down, it's going to hurt the longevity of that portfolio. So what they did was substitute for some of that portfolio annuities. That is, they took something that was not volatile. They took out a portion of the portfolio that was volatile and replaced it with something not volatile. And that showed, they did a Monte Carlo simulation analysis, they published it and showed that helped the duration, the sustainability of the portfolio. And I got very interested in that. So I published a dumbed down version of their article. Their article came from like 2001. I published mine in 2004 and kept thinking about it thereafter. And to fast forward to 2012, or just before then, the article got published early in 2012, the light bulb lit up over my head. Well, wait a minute. Why take money away from the portfolio? Why not get some money from elsewhere to buttress the portfolio, something that is also not volatile, not correlated with the portfolio. And of course, being in California, one thinks of real estate. And that was when I got the first idea, which was a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, as a source of money that wouldn't be volatile like the portfolio.
Yeah, but maybe jumping a teeny bit ahead. I mean, but HELOC was not the answer. And I imagine at that point, is that when you met Mary Jo? And
it
she
was
was
shortly thereafter. Yeah, I began to think, well, HELOC is not the answer because a HELOC, that's a loan that has to be repaid. It has to be repaid like any loan, of course, but while the retiree is living in the house that the HELOC is a lien against. So somehow the idea of what's another way to get money out of real estate. And I learned of reverse mortgages, and a friend of mine, or a guy who was working for the law firm that I had just left, actually, I had retired from, was helping with, I guess, management issues and other things for them. He knew Mary Jo, who was in the reverse mortgage business already. And I met Mary Jo, and we became friends. And we've remained friends ever since, which is now not quite the 20 years that Pete and I have known each other, but close to that. And once I realized that reverse mortgages could provide the offset to the volatility, then my brother, who's a great computer program, wrote it up, programmed it on Excel spreadsheet. Monte Carlo simulated the volatility of the securities, and we published the article, wrote it in 2011. It was published in February of 2012.
So and I knew this would happen when I asked you to come on here, Barry, is that we would talk about these things and you would come up with an answer or a possible answer, and we would talk about it. And now we're probably going to spend the night. Well, and after this is over, we're going to spend some time talking about it.
Figuring out
But I'm just thrilled that you have been a collaborator with me over the years, and I'm just thrilled that you agreed to
it's been a
show
pleasure.
your face on this radio show. So
it's nice to be in your studio here.
All right. Well, thanks very much.
Okay.
And I guess we'll kick it back to our host,
our producer.
I was really fascinated and want more and more details. In fact, a ton of this information, the research papers that you've written together, are on peterneuwirth.com. Click on the research box and you will find all of that and more. Pete is incredibly prolific, and Barry is just an amazing resource and educator and brilliant mind in this field. So you mentioned Mary Jo LaFay. She will be the next guest on your show, Pete. And she is with Mutual of Omaha, and she is definitely an awesome collaborator. So we're excited to have Mary Jo LaFay come on the next show, episode 2 of Money Mountaineering with Peter Neuwirth. I'm Hope Katz-Gibbs, producer of the Incandescent Radio Network, and we look forward to many more episodes of Pete's show. So thank you both for your time tonight. We thank our audience, and we will talk to you again next month.
That's great. Thank you. Good.